Good morning, everyone. This is Sean Blyle from the client development team here at MembersFirst. I appreciate everybody joining us this morning. We are going to jump right into the webinar. So today what we're going to be talking about is going to be design communications, and then we're going to follow up with a little bit of a mobile app presentation following the slide deck. So as most of you know, I am on the client development team here, and I'm excited to take you through kind of our process at MembersFirst and the way that we look at doing design. Not only this is going to focus on not only your website, but we're also going to look into a little bit of social media, and we've got a few fun tricks up our sleeve as well. So without further ado, let's kind of jump right into the content. A few webinar instructions before we do that, though. A few webinar instructions. The webinar is going to consist of a PowerPoint presentation with a voiceover. Okay, so all the attendees are going to be on mute, and what we will be doing is that in your GoToMeeting control panel, you'll be able to add questions into the control panel, and then following the webinar, I will answer as many questions as I can. I'm going to walk you through the presentation. We're going to do a little bit of a screen share, and we'll follow up with some questions. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today. So when we talk about design here at MembersFirst, we want to make sure that we're looking at the data. We don't want to just build something beautiful. We want to build something beautiful and functional. So we also want to look at your creative assets, anything from video, photography, and how creative your team and our team could be. We want to look at where we get the inspiration for our beautiful sites, in addition to how do we use design in a social media world. We're going to follow up with a few different tips and tricks about how to do interactive tours, and then we'll end with the mobile app, questions and answers. So again, thank you everybody for joining us today. Let's jump right in. So let's first talk about the data. Now, when we build sites at MembersFirst, one, we have a ton of fun doing that. Our team gets extremely creative. Yes, we've won plenty of awards, but really it's about the process that makes these projects so successful. So when we're looking at data, whenever a client comes to me and says, hey, we're looking to do a redesign, or it's a potential customer that's coming to me and saying, hey, we haven't redesigned our site in 3 or 4 years, and we want to make sure that we are staying on top of our game. Well, a comment that was made to me years ago was that you shouldn't pave the roads until you know where people are going. My buddy Matt's an engineer, and of course that comment has always stuck in my head, and it's actually relevant to how we design websites today. You want to make sure that you're looking at the data. One great and free tool that you can use is Google Analytics. All of our clients have Google Analytics installed on their websites, but no matter what provider you use, make sure that you reach out to them and ask them to install Google Analytics on your website. It's a great way to have insight into your traffic patterns so that when you're ready to make a redesign, you're able to go through and understand where your visitors are going so you can make it easier for them to find the content. There's a couple great tools that you can use within Google Analytics. The one that I use the most is page content. This is a quick graphic of a club's snapshot of their content and most visited pages. Now, granted, you don't want to look at just the top 10 most visited pages. You want to expand that out to the top 50, top 100, because you're going to start to see trends that will kind of pop out at you. Are your visitors spending a lot of time on your reservations area? Are they spending more time on your events and weddings pages? Or are they spending more time on your membership pages? You could start to filter the data based off of your public visitors and your private visitors. That way you can know where to spend your time when doing a redesign. You not only want to figure out which pages people are using the most, but you also want to go through and figure out, what is the average time that they're spending on those pages. And keep in mind, data can be interpreted multiple ways. And what I mean by that is that could people be spending more time on the page because it's hard to find information on that page? Or are they spending more time on that page because it's really engaging content? So you want to make sure that data will give you the roadmap, but it won't tell the entire story. So there will be a few different things that you need to look at when interpreting data. However, if you're already familiar with Google Analytics and your page content data, Another great thing that we would always encourage people to do is also install Google's on-page analytics. It's free. All you need to do, it is available in Google Chrome, and it's also available on Firefox. But go to the Google Web Store, search for Page Analytics by Google, and what this actually does, it actually installs a heat map onto your website. And the heat map on your website allows you to figure out where people are visiting, who's clicking, where are they clicking on, are your calls to actions working. And keep in mind that the one thing you'll need in order for this to work is you need access into your Google Analytics account. So for all of you who are MembersFirst clients, feel free to reach out to myself or your client services manager, and we'd be more than happy to set you up. Or if you are already set up and just need a quick little refresher, certainly give us a call and we'd be more than happy to take you through. For those of you on the call that are not clients, make sure that you reach out to your provider, ask them about Page Analytics, ask them about gaining access to your own data. That way you can have this at your fingertips when you're ready to go through a design project. Now, the one way that on-page analytics helps us with redesigning websites is that the first step that we look at is the data, and how does that affect the sitemap? Because we want to make sure that the sitemap is clear and intuitive for your non-members, your guests of members, and then also your members themselves. So we want to look at the sitemap and use data to analyze where are people going in order to make it easier for them to find it. However, we also want to look into step number 2, which is design inspiration. So we can look at data from a lot of different angles in order to interpret the next step in your design. And then we want to look at design mockups. You want to be working with a great team that is going to have great UI, UX experience. That way you can actually go through and make sure that not only are you creating an intuitive sitemap, however, the visual aspect of your website needs to also be intuitive for people to navigate through that piece of content. So over here on the left-hand side, here's a quick snapshot of a club that has Page Analytics installed. You'll notice that over here on the left, all of these orange dots, the screen may be a little bit small on your end, but all of those orange items are indicators of the percentage of people who are clicking on those navigation pieces. Now, keep in mind, it's not only in your secondary navigation, but it's also in your footer, it's also in your page content, and then it also gives you a nice screenshot as to how many visitors are on your current site, and you can easily see trends throughout your Page Analytics information. So once we've looked at the data before we redesign, now we want to take a look at our creative assets and our inventory of good video, photography, and how creative you can get with those. So most people that I work with fall in love with a variety of different websites. However, some clubs lack the creative assets that will make their design extremely powerful. So when we're looking at creative assets, today we're talking about great photography, we're talking about how to use video. Make sure that you're working with professionals that know how to capture different aspects of your club. If you're looking to have a great food and beverage experience, make sure that you're working with a photographer that has experience in food photography. If you're looking at doing course tours or tee to green flyovers, make sure that you've got licensed drone operators that know how to take a cinematic approach to your creative content. When looking at photography, it's not just about the facility, okay? You do need great facility shots. You want that great shot of, whether it's a residential home or it's the clubhouse or the dining room. However, you also want to incorporate great lifestyle shots. You want to show your members and guests golfing, playing tennis, using the facilities. It's a great way to make sure that your photography will not only talk to the great facility, but will also talk to the great lifestyle that people will enjoy at your facility. When you're working into doing video, make sure that you're professionally producing this video. When I send everybody a copy of these slides, you will have links to a variety of different pieces of content There are so many great ways to do video, but one thing I would always recommend is make sure that you're doing it with a professional, because what you're trying to do is capture the lifestyle in a short time span. Most people will ask, how long should a video be? It depends. You know, if you're doing a T to green flyover with a voiceover, you need to make sure that that video is short enough so that people stay engaged, but long enough to make sure that you are able to get your point across. So there's a variety of different rules of thought when you're incorporating video onto the website. There could be ways to do a quick looping video in your main hero image, or there could be a larger cinematic production, T to green flyovers. There's so many different ways to organize video. My recommendation would be to not only work with your cinematographer, photographer, and your web designer to make sure that all three of them are on the same page. You want to make sure that when you're designing content, that they know how that content is going to be used. You want to make sure that it's not an afterthought, because if it's an afterthought, it's going to be one of those things that will be hard to incorporate. If you involve them in the beginning of the project, it's a much smoother way to a successful project. The inspiration. Now, I can't tell you how many times I have current clients or prospective clients that reach out to me and say, hey, I've got a board member who is a member at this club in this part of the country, and they want us to copy their club over there. Or, hey, I've been to this club and I want to do the same thing. Keep in mind that inspiration is an incredible way to separate yourself from the competition. Your creative assets, such as video and photography, will bring it back to your industry. However, the inspiration is key. Here at Members First, we want to make sure that your club is not looking like the club next door, the club across the country, or the club down south. It is important for us to make sure that we are separating you from the rest of the group. Now, yes, that's a goal of ours here at Members First, but hopefully that's a goal of yours at the club, because the creativity is going to be key. And you want to make sure that in a competitive market, you're not looking like everyone else. So how do we do that? Well, what we do here at Members First is we look outside of the industry. This is one of the most fun pieces of the project for me personally, is because I get to sit in rooms with designers who are expanding the vision of what club design is. Now, where do you find inspiration? You can literally find it anywhere. Every single person on the call has been navigating the internet, whether they are looking for vacations, looking to purchase something for a loved one, or doing research on content anywhere throughout the internet. So when you're looking throughout the internet, make sure you're looking at it with a design eye. And hopefully you'll start to look at these sites differently and how you could apply them to maybe a future redesign of yours. So some of the ways that I look at, one, I'm a big vacation guy, so I love to kind of see when it's cold up north here in Boston, I like to see warm weather vacation spots. So I'm always kind of doing research as to where I can take my family down the road. So for example, Christchurch Harbour Hotel over in the UK is a great spot. One, I came across that site a few years ago, and they do a great way, they have a great way of inviting me into their world, even though I haven't been there yet. I've also worked in Bermuda, so I do a lot of competitive analysis with some of the clubs that I worked with down there. And so when I'm actually looking at that information, I came across the Reefs Hotel and Resort. It's a great way to inspire people. However, there's a lot of ways that both of those sites can be used and applied in the club industry. A few other of my favorites, I mean, I've actually gone through the design inspiration. I'm not a big cat person. It's not to say that I don't like cats, but I don't think cats like me. So when I'm using inspiration, I found a site along the way that literally is a company that sells scarves to cats. Now, also on the flip side, funeral homes. I came across that site, and actually there's elements of the site that I thought would work well for a client of mine. So there's so many fun ways that you can actually navigate through the web. You want to make sure that you're expanding your horizons and push your designers. Push your designers to make sure that they're being creative so that they're not just creating a site that looks like the club next door. You can expand out into colleges and universities, hotels and resorts, barbershops. And I even had a client send me this recently. It was a website design for the American Revolution Museum. Get creative with how you are inspired for your next redesign. Just because you're a private club, it does not mean that you need to be boring on the web. You can create a great lifestyle, a great sneak peek into the world that your members enjoy, and hopefully that will create a better experience not only for your members, but for your non-members and prospective members. Now, when you go into design, one, we've looked at the data. We want to get inspired, but then it also needs to be functional, right? So for all of you on the phone, make sure that you're reaching out to your website designers. Make sure that they're designing their websites with a mobile responsive fashion. Now, keep in mind that there are some clubs that do not have mobile responsive designs yet. You can easily reach out to your designer, and there are ways to convert your current design to mobile responsive. Or if you're embarking on a new website, all of the companies out there within our niche and within the industry will most likely be designing with mobile responsive. Ask them pros and cons about those different design types. But the main key is that you want to have one website. You want to make sure that all of the content is available for all of your users. Mobile responsive just basically means that you're going to have content that will adapt and stack accordingly when you're looking at the content on a desktop, tablet, or mobile phone. Towards the end of this call, we'll cover a little bit about the MembersFirst mobile app, because the mobile app is actually a separate component that is attached to your website. It's a way for you to utilize good mobile responsive design. However, you also want to be able to add a good point of contact for your members to be able to access just the most important pieces of your website. Now, design. We're going to move a little bit away from website design here. We're going to talk a little bit about how design can actually be used in your social media strategy. We want to make sure that that you're creating social content with design in mind. So we all know that there's all the different social media outlets, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it, most likely people are on it. So how can this be applied to your design world? Creating posts. This is a piece of free software. They do have a paid version, but this is what a lot of our clients use when they're creating social media content posts. Canva is a great tool to be able to go through and create those graphics that are designed for all of the different social media platforms. So there's a bunch of free different graphics that you can use throughout, or you can create your own for a very low cost. I encourage all of you to kind of research this, download it. There's a ton of free tools on the internet that can help your posts become a little bit more creative. Here's a screenshot at Canva's Facebook post layout. So they already know the correct dimensions of what images need to be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so on and so forth. They have a bunch of free components where you can actually customize them and make them your own, or you can use them as just motivational pieces for when you're creating your own content. Now, once you're creating great social media posts, how do you incorporate that into your website? Facebook and Twitter is going to be kind of the main two that a lot of people will be incorporating into your website. Philadelphia Cricket Club does a great job through a Facebook slider on the left-hand side of their screen. It's available no matter where you navigate on the website. It allows people to be engaged in the story of Philly cricket. Instagram. Instagram is a more visual platform. It's going to be all photos. Boston Golf Club did a great job at incorporating their Instagram feed and their Instagram handle right within their design. All of these images will have links in the slides that I send everybody after this presentation. So you'll be able to go navigate to these sites, see how they're working their social media into their overall design. Pinterest. There's a lot of you out there on Pinterest. Now, there are some clubs that are not necessarily promoting weddings and events. However, there's a lot of clubs that are. And for those clubs that are, those brides, those event planners, they're looking to be inspired as well. Manchester Country Club up in New Hampshire has done a great job at incorporating Pinterest onto their website. So basically what there's a way to be able to take in all of those feeds, brand it as the club, and incorporate it into your design. Now, it's not to say that your users aren't going to go directly to any of these social media networks. They could go directly to Instagram, directly to Facebook, or directly to Pinterest. However, if they go to your site first, we want to make sure that we keep them there. You can bring social media to them. And it's a great way to incorporate it into the design of your website. Snapchat. Everybody's wondering about, will Snapchat be successful? Will we be using Snapchat as much as we're using Facebook and Instagram? The answer is I don't know. It is a super popular network that a lot of people are trying to figure out how that can actually be applied to our world in the private club industry. I'm going to show you a few ways as to how you can apply it, just in case your club has already mastered the other networks and you're looking to create some unique content that will separate you from the rest of the pack. So with Snapchat, there's a variety of different things. If you are on Snapchat, there's something called geo filters. Basically, it's a location-based item so that when you are in a certain location, you take a photo or a video, you can add a community filter or an on-demand filter to their posts, which is great for brand management. Now, how does that work? One, you first need to design a filter. So you need to make sure that they are transparent filters. Here's an example of 4 filters that MembersFirst has created when we go out to different conferences. It could be the CMAA conference, it could be regional PCMA conferences, it could be a variety of different things. But one, first your designer needs to go through and create filters for you. Once you create the filter, you need to go in, create a Snapchat account, upload the filter, and then target it. So the way that those filters will eventually be used by users are going to be similar. Over here on the left-hand side, I was actually driving out of Wingfoot, took a quick snap, and unbeknownst to me, there was actually a filter placed over their property. I was also at the PGA Championship at Baltusrol last year, and the PGA of America were actually putting filters all over their property. And over on the right-hand side, you can see a couple funny pictures of some of our team when we're actually traveling. So Snapchat is making its way into clubs. Will it be as popular as Instagram and Facebook are? I don't know. However, if it is, we want to be prepared and help our clients be prepared as well. So how do these geo filters work? And what are the results and the data behind it? It's going to be different for every club. However, here's one that MembersFirst had a little bit of fun with. Hopefully some of you on the call were out in San Francisco for the CMAA show. We had a blast out there. Our team had a lot of fun meeting and seeing a lot of our clients and prospective clients, which have all become friends. However, what we did just to have a little bit of fun with our brand is that we actually created a geo filter over the hotel. So the hotel was called the View Lounge. We uploaded this filter, and literally here's the content and data behind it. So literally there was 824 swipes of our filter. However, only 12 people used it. Those numbers seem kind of low. However, those 12 people had a network that actually had the MembersFirst brand viewable to 423 other users. So even though there wasn't that many uses, we had a lot of swipes and we had a lot of people view. The cost? It cost me $19 to actually do that. Now, we had a little bit more fun. For those of you who were out at the CMAA in San Francisco, hopefully some of you attended the event at St. Francis Yacht Club, which is an unbelievable property. If you ever get the chance to go there, I highly recommend it. It overlooks Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's just a really magnificent setting. So what we actually did is we created a filter for that event, and we placed it over the club. So with this one, we actually had less swipes. We only had 138 swipes. However, we had an increase in uses. We had 23 uses, but those 23 uses, that network must have been a lot higher because we had a little over 1,000 views of those swipes. So the network of those 23 people who used it was much larger than the first one. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be, a game-changing world, but it is a way to have your brand get out there amongst other people. Now, keep in mind, how could you use this at the club? Well, you may have a July 4th event where you're doing fireworks similar to what we did at St. Francis Yacht Club. One, you're going to have a ton of kids there. You're going to have a ton of family members there. Test it out. Have a little bit of fun with it. If it works, great. If it works, try to expand on it. If it doesn't work, that's okay. It means that you tried it. You just want to make sure that you have the data behind it. And for this post, for this filter, even though it was more successful than the first one, it actually cost me less money. It only cost me $5 for this filter. So get a little bit creative with how you're using your design skills, not only on your website, but also on your social media networks. Now, the next thing I want to jump into is something that we've been asked about quite a bit over the last couple of years, interactive tours. How do we give people tours of our club without them physically being at the club? In my opinion, it's going to be the next wave of design. It can be incorporated not only into Google for your Google business pages, it can also be easily incorporated into your website. It's a very handy tool, and we wanted to explore that a little bit further with you today. So what do we mean by interactive tours? A lot of people have actually already seen these as they've navigated throughout the internet. There's a ton of clubs that are using them. There's a ton of restaurants. There's tons of businesses that are using them. Now, interactive tours is basically going to give somebody a sneak peek before they get to the club. We all know that pictures, are like 1,000 words. Video is like 1,000 pictures. Interactive tour, I think, is like 1,000 videos. So it's a great way to create content and incorporate it into your design. So how do you do that? The Cornell Club of New York, which is a great club down in New York City, they allow their users to explore their property in 3D. Okay, they have a dollhouse view, which they can actually allow their prospective member or prospective guest to immerse themselves into their building without ever stepping foot inside their building. What is it great for? It's great for search engine optimization. It's also good for your Google business page because everybody has those and it can be uploaded to that. So if somebody is searching for your club on Google, not only will it have the photos that are on your Google business page, but it will also have your 3D tours. It's like touring the club without the tour. And keep in mind, once people get a sneak peek into your property, let's just say it's a bride looking to have their wedding at your club. If your club is a little bit farther out than where they're comfortable driving, they will drive there once they know how beautiful your spot is. A couple different ways that I've seen this applied is at a restaurant that I've physically never been to. However, I'm dying to take my wife there on a date. So this restaurant is actually located in Newbury, Massachusetts, which is about an hour away from where I live. It's not that easy for us to get away, especially to go to dinner an hour away. However, the virtual tour at this property, and I will scroll down a little bit here now that we're on their site. When I am looking to view their property, I can explore their space in 3D. One of the ways that this is great is that you create this dollhouse view, and I can easily jump myself into the bar and now walk myself through as if I'm going to sit down, have a drink, order some food, look out the window, and see what my experience is going to look like. It's a great way to tour the property without ever stepping foot on the property. Now, how do clubs use that? I've seen clubs like the Cornell Club use it. I've seen clubs all over the country use this information. Renaissance Golf Club is another club on the North Shore of Boston. The way that they've used it is to explore their clubhouse. Now, I personally know this club, and it's a little bit, it's farther outside of Boston. It's probably about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Boston. But how are you going to draw people from Boston to go to their property? Easily. Let them tour it. So what Renaissance actually did, and we'll pull their website over here. So here's the website at Renaissance Golf Club. If I scroll down a little bit, I'll click over here on Explore the Clubhouse, and I'm going to take a quick look inside. Here's the front of the clubhouse. I'm going to navigate into the clubhouse, easily turn to the right, and if I'm a bride looking to have my wedding here, I can actually see how beautiful their ballroom is without ever stepping foot on property. It encourages me to now consider them as a place to have my wedding because now I know what it looks like. It's worth me taking time to drive, meet the wedding planner, and go through the process of exploring that as an option for my wedding. Now, will that work for every club? I don't know. You have to understand that each thing is going to be a little bit unique for you and how you incorporate these new ways of design into your website. Now, before we get to questions and answers, what I wanted to do is we want to make sure that we're showing people how to stay connected. We talked a lot about the web today. We also talked a lot about social media design. We talked about inspiration and how to get creative with interactive tours. But one of the ways that we have found that people are staying connected to their club from a membership perspective is through their members mobile app. Now, most of you have this already. If you don't, make sure that you contact your provider for it, whether it's MembersFirst or another provider. Most companies out there will have mobile apps ready for you. So what I'm going to do here, and pardon me while I go to my desktop, I'm actually going to display my mobile phone onto the screen. So give me 1 second here. And most of you are seeing my screen now. So yes, when you want to go to anything on the web, you can of course go to the internet, right? Jump on there, search for what you're looking for. However, your members will also want to be connected through a mobile app as well. So down here on the right-hand side, you'll see the club at Neptune Cove, which is our demo site here at MembersFirst. One thing you'll notice, a great way to stay connected, is that your members didn't have to sign in. Because the mobile app is downloaded through Google Play or the Apple App Store, it is locally installed on your phone. That way, it actually saves your username and credentials. That way, your members don't have to log in all the time. So here on our mobile app home screen, we try to give you a view into today. So basically, what we want to look at is, hey, what's going on at the club today? So we've got all of today's events appearing here, right here on your home screen. And we also have that content such as, hey, we've got a new trainer starting at the club, we've got golf results, taco night, and burrito night. These are all of the pieces of content that your club is deemed appropriate for the homepage of your mobile app. It's a great way to start promoting items at your club. However, one of the unbelievable assets of the mobile app is using push notifications. So up here on the right-hand side, you can see that there are push notifications here. Now, these will automatically pop up on your phone based off of your phone settings. However, if your member happens to miss that pop-up on their phone, they can always log in and see any notifications that they may have missed. Going back to the home screen, you can also go up to the navigation up here on the top left-hand side. It's a great way to be able to keep the content in a very well-organized fashion. Each club is going to be a little bit different, but you can see, hey, there's my photo up there. Photos can be added from your mobile phone, which is a great way for your members to update their content. They can easily get into the club calendar where they can, maybe take a list view of the events, click on them and register. They can certainly get into the member directory, look for any member, whether if they're doing a quick search, so that they can call, text, and connect with those members right from here. Other great things that people can do from here, depending on which reservations modules you have, you can do everything from tea times to dining reservations to court reservations to overnight bookings. The other items that a lot of clubs are looking for are account statements, to-go orders, an easy way to get to your photo galleries, message boards, and then looking at their own info. The mobile app is a great way for your members to be connected. And from a design aspect, It's a great asset to have attached to your website. That's a quick sneak peek into the mobile app and a quick overview of what we have found has been super important with designs today. So now what we'll do is we'll open up the webinar for questions, and I'll answer those in the order that they've been received. Awesome. We've got a couple that are coming in right now. All right, so this question is, we've had a Google Analytics account for years, but we haven't used it. Is there a recommended webinar or YouTube video on Google Analytics for someone that has never used it before? Awesome question. Yes. So Google is a great way to access analytics. One, certainly reach out to your web provider, whether it's MembersFirst or somebody else that you're using, and ask them for a quick refresher. However, what I will do, and I'll send the group an email. There's a quick free tool. It's called Google Analytics Academy. You can search it. It's in all the Google tools, but it does go through a lot of courses. I personally take those courses myself, mainly because Google changes so often. I need to make sure that I'm keeping up with what's happening out there, but it's called Google Analytics Academy. You can certainly research that, sign up for the courses. If you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, that would be the first place that I would go in order to get more versed with Google Analytics. Great question. Okay, we've got another one coming in here. Prior to us scheduling a redesign, do we need to be familiar with all these areas? The answer is no. We covered a lot of content today, but you don't need to be familiar in every single area. What I like to say is that you need to know enough to be dangerous, but you don't need to be an expert in everything. Plus, for clients of MembersFirst, this is the fun part. Our team, will walk you through the entire process, and we'll explain all these areas in detail. Because as an agency, we're not just building websites. We're helping you create your digital footprint across all platforms. So we'll show you, how all of these pieces of content would, relate to your specific club, your club website, and then also help you create a good plan to implement those throughout your project. Our team, we're the experts in these areas. So, that means that you don't have to be. Our team will help you every step of the way. So, great question. Okay, we've got one more question coming in. This looks like it's in regards to the mobile app. Is the mobile app automatically generated by the development on the website, or is the app developed after the design? So good question. So if you're creating a brand new website, then the mobile app needs to be developed immediately after the website is launched. The reason for it is because the mobile app that we build is actually leveraging pieces of content from your website. So the process that any company needs to go through when building mobile apps is that they need to submit them to Apple and Google. So once that submission process happens, then Google or Apple, they go in and they're clicking on every link, they're going through and evaluating the app to make sure that it works. So that means that you need to have an active website in order to have a mobile app, if you want to leverage the content between the two. Now, there are companies that build standalone apps that have no connection to your website. The challenge with those is that you're going to be doing duplicate data management, which is super time consuming for the club. Great question. Got another one that came in here. can we create a geo filter for Snapchat that can be used for multiple years, or is it only a shorter period of time? Incredible question. So you can actually create a geo filter, and you can actually use it multiple times over multiple periods of time. Now, the reason I say that is because you can say, hey, I've got a July 4th event, and we're doing a big pool barbecue as a part of it. So what you can do is create one geo filter to run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. just over the pool. And then you can use that same filter from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. over the clubhouse, because that's where the fireworks are going to be. So you can create one filter and use it multiple times, or you can create multiple filters and use them all of the time. Keep in mind that the examples that I used, one cost me $5 and one cost me $19. However, the larger the space, the more expensive it will be. And the more popular the space, the more expensive it will be. So you just want to make sure that you're using your geo filters to match up with your budget as well. Okay, looks like we've got another question coming in here. How long would it typically take to construct an interactive tour? And as a percentage, how many have mobile apps? So it looks like two questions there. As far as a percentage, how many people have mobile apps? I mean, the MembersFirst personally is probably developed over, or have in the process, probably over 100 different apps for all of our clubs. As a specific percentage, I don't actually have a specific percentage as to how many people have apps. However, there hasn't been a project that I've done in the last year that hasn't included a mobile app. So a lot of it comes down to, how are you looking to communicate with your members? Are you looking to do push notifications? Are you looking to make sure it's easier for your members so that they don't have to sign into the website every time? So most of my clients are adding mobile apps with their project. Now, going back to the first part of the question, how long would it typically take to construct an interactive tour? Typically, it's about a day. If we're doing a virtual tour of inside of the clubhouse, it really depends on how many spots we're connecting the tour. I usually say it usually takes a day, but you want to budget at least 2 days, mainly because we may only have access to 3 of the 10 rooms that you want us to do a virtual tour in due to a member event. So it honestly ranges depending on how many components of your property that we need to create in the tour. Now, if you are doing like drone flyovers, or if you're doing virtual tours through video, depending on the size of the property, I've personally done projects where it's taken our team, 2 to 3 days up to a week. It all depends on the amount of content that you want to have for your virtual tour, whether it's going to be an interactive tour or a tour of your facility through video. So great questions. Okay, I've got another question coming in here. You mentioned licensed drone operators. What does that mean? Can we just have a member with a drone shoot a video? So can you have a member who bought a drone, or your superintendent or your golf pro or whoever at the club go buy a drone and do a video? Yes. The reason we started doing professional videos is because we were seeing a lot of clubs go out and do that, and it just looked so unprofessional. One, they may have not had the experience in operating a UAV drone. So we recommend that everybody works with a licensed drone operator, not only for the quality of the production, however, for the safety of the people at the club, as well as the protection of the club's liability and potential fines down the road. So one of the things that our team does before we do a project is we do need to check the airspace because we need to know, one, how high can we fly? Where can we fly? What limitations are on there? So we also want to take the liability into case because, one, if the drone damages the property or breaks it, who's liable? Is the club liable because the superintendent bought the drone and, you know, all the damage is on you? Or is the company that you've hired liable? So those are all things that we take into consideration when you're looking for drone operators. Okay, it looks like we've got one more question coming in here. Okay, it looks like this is in regards to the Google Analytics page analytics heat map. So the question is coming in, is there a cost to turn on the heat map feature on our website? No. Actually, it's a free tool that Google Analytics provides that can be added at no charge. You know, the first step is that you need to have access to your Google Analytics account. The second step is to download Page Analytics by Google from the Google Web Store. And then as long as you have access to that account, you apply it to the site and all your information is there. For any of you who are MembersFirst clients, or even if you're not a MembersFirst client, my contact information is on the slide in front of you. Feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to. It would literally take 5 minutes to show you how to install Page Analytics on your website. However, just make sure that you have access to your Google Analytics account prior to doing that. That way we can test it out when we're on the phone. Awesome. All right, great questions. I just want to go through and make sure that I haven't missed any questions that have come through the question and answer panel. All right. All right, great. It looks like that concludes the question and answer period for the webinar today. I have enjoyed sharing this content with you. I look forward to looking to connecting with all of you if you have any questions post webinar. Just as a reminder, for all of the attendees, I have recorded this webinar, so I will send you a video recording in addition to the slides. That way you can share it with other managers, department heads, board or committee members at your club. Thanks again and enjoy the day.